So I had three things happen over the course of the last week that kind of panicked me. And I want to tell you about those three things because I suspect that some of you have had the same things happen or something similar. So the first thing, my parents have been visiting from out of state for the last few weeks. They left a few days ago. But while they were visiting, my mom and I got to talking about some family history things, as we often do. And for the first time, I started to notice that my mother, who has a brilliant, brilliant memory, was starting to let some things slip. There were things she couldn't quite remember. There were a couple of names she shared that I knew were wrong. And that really kind of started to worry me. It just, watching your parents get older is not an easy thing by any means, but that was one piece of my mom that I just wasn't expecting to start to slip this soon. She's fairly young-ish. She's only 75 years old. And, like I said, she's always had this really brilliant memory. And so I started to panic, not just because I'm watching this happen in real time, but also because there are a ton of photos that I still have not sat down with her and gone through them to make sure that I have everybody identified. And there are a few stories that I still haven't captured from her. And so I'm just feeling, as I'm watching my parents get older, and my dad too, as I'm watching my parents get older, I'm feeling some urgency. And just having them sitting in the living room at my house last week and having this conversation just made it really feel urgent and poignant right now in my life. That's the first thing that happened. The second thing that happened while my parents were visiting, a pipe in our basement bathroom sprung a leak, which is a problem in and of itself and a mess that I'm still trying to clean up. But the bigger panic was this. Downstairs, a short hall away from that bathroom, is a giant wardrobe that we purchased several years ago, and it's got shelves in it. But on those shelves in that wardrobe, in that basement, a hall away from that bathroom that sprang a leak, are all of our family slides and photos and old letters and audio tapes from when my great uncle used to do family history research and send us all the discoveries he was making. And I mean, there's so many treasures, and we've boxed them up carefully and put them on the shelves in this wardrobe. But what we haven't done yet is gone through and digitized all of those things. And while the leak only flooded the carpet, if anything worse were to happen, that cabinet would be in peril. And that panicked me. Like, I just started thinking about, again, the urgency of all the things that I just keep thinking, oh, I'll get to that someday. And I just haven't gotten to it yet. That's the second thing that happened, literally in the last week. The third thing that happened was that I had an old computer that had a bunch of journal entries on it and a bunch of things that I had digitized previously. And I took the hard drive to go to get it to a computer shop to get the information extracted off of it so that I could get that copied over to a new computer and eventually copied up to the cloud where I could have it saved. And that hard drive had failed. And so I lost probably about 5 years worth of journal entries and about probably several hundred pictures that we had digitized about a decade ago. So that was the third thing that happened to me this week. And so I've been thinking a lot about what it means to preserve the information that we have, whether it's the information in my mom's brain, whether it's the information in all of those photos and journals and letters and audio tapes that are sitting in that wardrobe in my basement, or whether it is the stuff that's sitting on a hard drive on a computer that I haven't backed up somewhere else. So there's a couple of things that I want to talk to you about today that will help maybe alleviate some of my concerns. And maybe this is just for me, but I suspect, and I would love to hear in the comments from some of you, like what that looks like in your life. Are your precious treasures sitting in a basement? Are they sitting in an attic somewhere where they might be suffering from like extreme temperature differentiations throughout the year? Or, like, are they sitting in someone else's house and you're just hoping you can get copies of those things? Have you got things on your computer that aren't backed up somewhere else? Like, I would love to hear in the comments what that looks like in your life. Um, so thank you for joining me today for this special bonus episode of Ancestry virtual events. So far, we always do these on Wednesdays, every Wednesday, but we thought we would throw in a little bonus this week. It's timely, not just because of these three events that just happened in my life, but also because of this giant box that I think you can just barely see off camera here, that we are going to share with you today. And we're going to do something a little bit different. You've probably seen on YouTube videos or maybe scrolling on Instagram, you may have seen people do what are called unboxing videos. Unboxing videos are where somebody gets a package and they open it on camera and they are as surprised as you are watching about what's inside the box, and it's kind of this joint experience. Well, today we are going to do a boxing video, and you'll understand what that means in just a minute. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Crista Cowan. I'm the corporate genealogist here at Ancestry, and family history is my life. And yet I still have things that I keep putting off or thinking that I have enough time to do. And so we're going to work through this together today. We're going to start in our Ancestry family tree. And so if you have an Ancestry account, if you want to pull it up and follow along, you are welcome to. We're going to walk through some of the tools on Ancestry that can be used to capture these memories, make sure stuff is documented, make sure stuff is in multiple places, and the tools that are available to you to do that. And then I'm going to end with boxing up this box that's sitting next to me and explaining what that is all about. And then I suspect that in a few weeks, we are going to do another bonus event where you will get to see the reveal of what happens with this box. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And we are going to walk through a couple of things on Ancestry. So if you have started a family tree on Ancestry, one of the things you may or may not be aware of that you can do is that you can upload photos and documents and audio files to the gallery in your Ancestry tree. And so what you'll see here is over on the tree toolbar menu, you'll see this gallery icon. And that will take you to a space on Ancestry called Memories. Now, Memories is a really great place to start to collect all of this information. And again, photos, documents, and audio files. You can also upload or create written stories in either PDF or Word doc or natively in Ancestry as a text file. So that's kind of what this memories workspace is. And if it's something you haven't spent a lot of time with, you might not even know it's there. Now, one of the things that also happens on Ancestry is as you start building your family tree, we deliver hints to you. And those hints sometimes contain photos and documents and audio files and stories that other people have uploaded to their own trees. And so sometimes you'll see something that shows up in your hints that's like a photo of your great-grandfather that you've never seen before because some second cousin that is also descended from that same great-grandfather uploaded that photo. Or you'll get a hint to something about your grandmother because somebody uploaded a document that they had in their possession. And so anytime you use the Save to Tree feature from a hint or a search result on one of those media items, that gets saved into your tree. And let's see if I can find a good example here. What happens is, let's open it up. I've saved this to my tree. Right over here, you're going to see who originally shared this information. And that who originally shared this information is really important. What we call, the fancy word for it is provenance, right? Who actually originally uploaded this photo? Because if Claudette originally uploaded this photo way back in 2011, that's important information for me. I might want to contact Claudette, especially because she's been on Ancestry since 2010 and she logged in yesterday. That's great news. Claudette might know more about the people in this photo. She might have more photos. Now, she's been really great at labeling these photos. So she has given these photos titles. She has categorized these photos as she has uploaded them. She has provided descriptions, and in this case, a pretty detailed description of this photo. The only thing that is missing on this photo is a date and a location. And if you tune into Roots Tech in a couple of weeks, you're going to see that Ancestry has got a new feature that is going to allow you to maybe start to narrow in on exactly when and where this photo was taken. But Claudette originally uploaded this photo. She provided this information, and then she linked this photo to some people in her tree. I then got a hint because William Alvin Ayers is in my tree. And so I saved it from the hint. It maintained this originally submitted information, so I can go back to Claudette in person through messaging or to her tree and see what else she knows. But there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other people in this tree. And Ancestry wants me to identify who they are. And I suspect if I go back to Claudette's tree, she probably has already done that. And in fact, right here, she has listed the names of the people in the tree. In fact, she even shares a little story here about how this empty chair is for his wife who had just passed away. And I suspect she may have recently passed away if they were taking this photo, and that might help me provide a specific date for the photo. Or if I know when the photo was taken, that might help me provide me with a specific date to look for a death record for her. So photos are more than just a visual thing in our tree. They also serve as really useful clues to the family stories. And making sure that we just save them directly from the hint or the search result to the people in our tree, like I said, is an important part of maintaining that provenance so we know who to go back to. What we do not want to do at this point, when we see a hint or a search result on Ancestry, is download that image to our computer and then re-upload it to our tree on Ancestry, because it breaks that connection, and then it will look like I'm the one who originally submitted that photo when I don't know anything about these people. And so I don't want other people contacting me about this photo. I want to make sure they can contact Claudette about this photo. And so making sure we maintain that connection is an important part of the Ancestry ecosystem. So we use the Save to Tree feature when we get a hint or a search result, and then we can still add dates and locations. We can still see Claudette's name and link directly out to her profile. We can make sure we know who all of the people in this photo are, and we tag it to those people. We can also see some of the other people on Ancestry who have saved this photo to their tree. And that is an interesting little ecosystem of possible cousins that I might want to go look at their tree. If I were to click on it, it would take me out to where in their tree William Alvin Ayers exists, and I can see how closely or distantly they are related to him. Now, the last thing over here in this side menu is the ability to leave a comment. And this is another reason why it's really important to maintain this original submitter information. Because when I just save it from from Claudette's tree into my own tree, and then all these other people have done the same. If any of us were to start commenting on this photo, all of us would see this comment thread. And that comment thread then becomes a way to communicate with the other people interested in this photo about who these people are, when and where this photo was taken, and what other photos or documents or information people might have. So really, really useful information when we save things correctly, and that works out really beautifully. Now, you can still, after you've saved it to your tree from Claudette's tree, you can still download that photo to your own personal computer for your personal files. You can download it just as an individual photo, or if you use a genealogy software program like Family Tree Maker. Family Tree Maker is one of those two programs that links with Ancestry, and it syncs your tree. So you can work in offline desktop software program or in Ancestry, and it keeps all the information in sync. When you download or sync your computer, your Ancestry tree to Family Tree Maker, it automatically will download all of that media that you've attached since the last time you synced, and it will maintain a copy on your computer. That's what I do. So I have my tree on Ancestry. That's my primary tree. It's my primary workspace. It's all, I use all the powerful tools there. I sync my tree with Family Tree Maker. It allows me to do some extra little reports and things that Ancestry doesn't. And then it also allows me to have a backup or a copy on my hard drive. Then I also back up that and keep a version of it in the cloud. So that's kind of my backup process, not just for all of the family history data in my tree that I've been collecting for decades, but also for these photos and stories and documents that are that I'm finding on Ancestry as well. So I always have that copy on my computer and then a full copy in the cloud. But Ancestry, of course, is my primary workspace. Now, I'm sure several of you have some questions about what we've talked about so far. And so I'm just going to skim through the chat really quickly and see if there is anything specific that is coming up. Yes. Okay. So somebody is talking about how when you get stuff hinted back to you from yourself, and that's what I was talking about. So in addition to making sure that we maintain the provenance of that photo, meaning we use the Save to Ancestry feature, we also want to make sure that other people know that they should do that as well. Not everybody knows, right? We were all new once. We all did things we didn't know how to use the system exactly or what we were supposed to do. And so sometimes people download that photo, they find it, and they're so excited to find a picture of their great grandpa that they've never seen before. They download it, and then they don't know any better. They just re-upload it. And like I said, now it looks like they're the original submitter. The problem is then you're going to get hinted that photo back because Ancestry doesn't know that this photo you uploaded and this photo they just uploaded are the same photo. So the technology to recognize those as the same item is not there yet, right? So it looks like two completely different photos. That's especially difficult if somebody downloads the photo and crops it or colorizes it or does some kind of a photo manipulation and then re-uploads it. Now it really looks like an entirely new photo. And so yes, that photo will get hinted back to you. I don't think anybody does that maliciously, right? I think it's just people who don't know that they should be using that Save to Ancestry or Save to Tree feature when they find a photo or a document. So we're going to give a lot of grace to people and just ignore those duplicate photo hints for now. Okay. Okay. And I'm just looking. Yes. Marilyn says she looks at who else has saved her photo too. Kimberly has heirs in her tree, and now she's going to go see if we're related. Yeah, when you share your tree with someone, so we talked about this in yesterday's virtual event. That will be up on YouTube by next week. So if you haven't watched it yet, I strongly encourage you to go do that. But basically, your options on Ancestry for tree privacy are public, private, searchable, or private unsearchable. A public tree on Ancestry just means anyone with an Ancestry subscription can see the dead people in your tree. And that means they can see all the photos and documents as well, and they can save that information out of your tree into their own tree. They do have to have a subscription to Ancestry, so it's not just open to everybody in the world on the internet. Okay. You also can at any time share your tree with other people in your family. They do not have to have a subscription if you intentionally share that tree with them. Public or private searchable means your tree is not open, so I couldn't come and like roam around in your tree. But if I search for somebody that's in your tree, Ancestry is going to tell me that person exists in your tree. And if I have one of those people in my tree, I'm going to get hints from the photos and documents and things you've attached for that tree. It's just if I want to come view the tree, I can't view the tree. And that's what we call private searchable. And then the third one is private unsearchable. And that means nobody but you will even know the tree exists unless, again, you intentionally share that tree with someone else. All the details about that and how to do that sharing are going to be on that virtual event from yesterday about navigating your family tree like a pro. So yes, when we share information with people, we have to expect that they will copy that information, whether it's because our tree is public, whether it's because our tree is private searchable and information is getting hinted out to them, or if it's private unsearchable, but we have shared it or invited somebody to view our tree, we should expect that they will copy that information out of our tree into their own tree. Now, I will tell you this. There are two ways to combat information being spread incorrectly. The first one is you want to make sure that you add a title, that you add a description, and that you add a date and a location, and that you tag the people in that photo. If you do that with the things that you upload to your tree, then they will get hinted out correctly. The second thing that you can do is you can make sure that that good information stays public. One of the things, unfortunately, that I see people do is they post their tree and they upload their photos, and then they panic when they realize that people are copying information out of their tree, especially if maybe somebody, again, new, who didn't know any better, maybe copied it to the wrong person, and then they panic and they make their tree private. And now what's happened is the good, accurate information has just been made private, and the incorrect information is now out there publicly, and it's just going to keep proliferating. So the idea is the best way to combat inaccurate information is with accurate information made as publicly and freely available as possible. So that is some of that. Now, the gallery, Yolanda's asking, is the gallery public? Your gallery is public if your tree is public. And again, that just means that anyone with an Ancestry subscription can see the dead people in your tree. So if a piece of media in your tree is only attached to a living person, nobody will be able to see that. But as soon as you attach it to a deceased person, that information becomes public in a public tree. And in a private searchable tree, information, nobody can come into the gallery and look around, but they will get hinted information from the gallery if it's attached to a deceased person in your tree. So there you go. Okay, let's see what else. Couple of other questions. I'm going to trust that Member Services is going to get to those. If you've got specific questions that I haven't answered about that, and they will answer those there, that will be a little easier for them than trying to scroll through all of the chat. Okay, so in my gallery, what you will see then are photos that I have saved from other people's trees, but you will also see photos that I have uploaded, photos that I am the original submitter on. So this photo, which is not great quality, we'll zoom in a little so you can see it a little bit better here. So this right here is my grandma. my ma, and this is her younger sister, and these are her parents. And then this is Uncle Wally. He's my great grandma Mary's younger brother. There's a whole story there. Okay. So this is the best quality photo that I currently have. And I put in the date that this photo was taken, and I dated the photo based on the ages of my grandma and her sister. So it's kind of an approximate date. I also know where they were living at the time. And based on kind of some of the contextual clues in the background, I think this was on their dairy farm in East Los Angeles. And so I put Los Angeles County. It's a portrait family photo. And then I put a little bit of that story here in the description field and added my name. Here is the date that I originally shared it. I have linked it or tagged every person in the photo so that it's attached. And then it looks like 3 other people have saved this photo to their tree. And so I could go explore who these people are and how closely or distantly they might be related to me. Okay, so there are things in your gallery that you added, and there are things in your gallery that you saved from other people's trees. In addition to photos, you are also going to see clippings of newspapers that you saved from newspapers.com. So newspapers.com, of course, is owned by Ancestry, and we've got an upcoming virtual event where we're going to do a deep dive into newspapers. So I don't want to get distracted today, but here's the kind of the brief thing you need to know about what's in your gallery. When you clip an article on newspapers.com using their clipping feature, and then you use the feature to save to Ancestry, what it does is it creates a thumbnail, and it's usually a low resolution thumbnail, and that's intentional because newspapers.com has license agreements. A lot of those newspapers are still in copyright. They're still owned by the publishers. We just host them. We don't own those newspapers. And so the license agreements allow us to put a low resolution thumbnail in your gallery so that you know an article exists. Oftentimes it means you can read the headline. And sometimes if it's a small enough article, you can actually read the information. The bigger the article gets, the fuzzier it is because of that low resolution. But when you go into your gallery, right over here where it says Crista Cowan originally shared this article on this date from newspapers.com, I can click that link and it will open up the full resolution clipping over on newspapers.com so I can read it. Okay. And clippings are available to you for free, whether you like once you've clipped an article and put it in your clippings file on your newspapers account, it's yours. So it's always available to you. So you don't have to always have an active subscription in order to access those. So you're going to see newspaper clippings. And like I said, we'll do a deep dive on newspapers in a future virtual event. Sometimes you're going to see photos of tombstones. In this case, these are photos of tombstones that we actually took. You're going to see items that are documents. This is a page out of a family Bible that came from, I believe, his pension file. They had ripped the page out of the family Bible to send in with their pension application. And so this is a copy of that page. So those are the kinds of things that you're going to see in the gallery. Sometimes it's a doc, it's like a PDF or a Word doc. You're going to see some all sorts of things. So you can upload whatever you want into this gallery. And I hope that you will. I hope that if you've already digitized any photos or documents in your possession, that you get these uploaded and that you maybe spend a little time every week, or, like that's kind of my new goal for myself based on the events of the last week, is to once a week spend 2 hours going through my digital files of things I've already digitized and uploading them to the gallery, and then working through however many of those I can get through in a 2-hour session, making sure they have titles and dates and places wherever possible, and then making sure I've attached them to the people in the tree that are in that photo or document, and then maybe writing a little description or story to go along with it so that there is this good, accurate information about those people or that photo out in the world. So that is my plan for this foreseeable future based on the urgent events of this last week. Now, there's lots more things we could cover here in the gallery. I'll just briefly give you kind of a quick tour, and then we're going to dive into this new feature from Ancestry. So you can sort your photos into albums. So you see here, I've created a new album called Photos to Process. So what happens is you can upload photos to your gallery, but then you don't have to right away tag people in them. And so then they won't be hinted out until they're tagged to a person in your tree. And so I have uploaded a few photos. This is going to be kind of that holding place. And then once I've tagged them to people in my tree, I'll remove them from this particular album. So for me, I'm using this as kind of a workspace. You can also create albums, for example, of military people in your family, or you could create an album of just tombstones. There are a million different ways to create albums. So here's what I'd like to hear from you in the chat, if you're watching this live, or if you're watching this over on YouTube, in the comments. If you have played around with albums on the Ancestry Memories gallery, I would love to hear from you what albums you have created, because I suspect as a community, we could probably brainstorm some really great ways of using this feature. And some of you are probably using it in a way that I would love that I just haven't thought of yet. So what kinds of albums have you created, or could you foresee yourself creating? As you can see, I've just created this one little workflow album so far and haven't really dived into that too much. Okay, there's also, you'll see a little stories tab here. That is just a way to create like little mini Instagram stories almost about people in your life, and then you can share those stories. That's one easy way to share, to take like 5 or 6 photos about a person and write a little narrative, and then I can share that out to my nephews and my world's only niece, and share stories that I'm discovering about our family with them. So all of that is here. You also down here have filters. So you can say, oh, I want to find every photo that is about a specific person in my gallery. You could just go to that person in your tree and look at their gallery, what's attached to them. But if you're here in the main gallery, it's a really easy way to just search for everything attached to a person. You also can filter to every image in your gallery that is not tagged to a person. And that's an important way to find photos you may have uploaded and forgot you uploaded that haven't been tagged yet. Let's see how many of mine are in that category. There's a couple. So I've got a little bit of work to do. Okay, you can look for any photos that do not have a date. So if you haven't put a date on it yet, if you haven't put a location on it yet, if you want to find all photos taken in a specific location, that's an interesting exercise, because all of a sudden you start to realize, I have people in my family tree from this place on this side, and people in my family tree on this side that are also from the same place. And sometimes you notice that when you're playing with some of these filters. And then you can also filter by media type. If you've gone through your gallery and you've made sure that you've noted whether it is a photo or a document, or an audio file, or video is now on this list, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute. You can also filter by some of those same things we just looked at, including things that might not have a description just yet. Sorry, my little Zoom menu's in the way. There we go. Okay. Things that might not have a description yet. In addition to that, you can also filter by broader categories. So there are you can assign a media type, right? This is a picture, this is an audio file, this is whatever. You can also assign a category. This is a portrait or a family photo versus this is a certificate or a picture of a tombstone, or whatever the case may be. So lots of ways to filter your media gallery as it grows, and it will grow. Now, right up here on the top left, you're going to see what is called the Ancestry Preserve Kit. And that is this giant box sitting next to me. Some of you may know that last year, I think it was in August time timeframe. Ancestry purchased a company down in Arizona called iMemories. And we now have available to you what is called the Ancestry Preserve Kit. If you're on Ancestry right now, you'll probably see that right across the top there is a header that has some information. You can explore more about Ancestry Preserve and you can order a kit. And so that's what I did. I ordered a kit. Now, the cost of the kit, I'm going to see if I can pull this up here on the desk and not take up all the space. This is the size of the kit, just so that you have an idea. Okay, it's a box that gets shipped to you. It costs $20 to get this box shipped to you. And then what you can do is you can fill the box with all the things sitting in that wardrobe in your basement or that box in your attic that's gathering dust, or the next time you go to your mom's house and realize she's got a tray of slides and a bunch of old home movies that are just sitting there degrading essentially over time, you can ask if you can borrow them and get them digitized. So, Ancestry Preserve is simply a way to get things digitized, but here's the really cool thing about it. You don't just get them digitized. I've had things digitized before, and then they sit on a hard drive that ends up corrupted. What you can do is when you get it digitized, Ancestry will automatically upload it into a gallery on your Ancestry account. And then you can go through those items and tag them into the people in your tree, and now you've got them saved. So that is, for me, what I'm most excited about doing right now. So you're going to watch me do what's called a boxing, which is a thing I think I just made up. Like I said, lots of people unbox things on the internet. I'm going to box things. So let me stop sharing my screen, and I am going to slide my laptop a little bit out of the way. And I haven't even ripped the plastic off of this box yet. So let's just see what I don't even, y'all, like I read a list from somebody that works here that said, hey, here's what you get in your box. I have no idea what we're getting into. Okay. Plastic gone. I'll clean up later. Box. Okay. Oh, it's in a sleeve. I'm gonna slide it out of the sleeve. Okay. That's fun. And now I have a box and there is a return. So for the $20 that you buy the kit, you get the box shipped to you, and then the return shipping is also paid for, and the label is already on that box. Okay. And then I'm going to have to figure out how to open it. I'm told this is a crush-proof box. I don't want to like be too rough with it to test that, but I suspect I could be. Okay. We're going to open the box. Okay, inside the box, I have save your family treasures for generations to come. Here are the instructions. Simple instructions, 1, 2, 3 steps. First, I'm going to collect and pack my mementos. Mementos, that's a funny word. Then I am going to seal and ship my kit. Then, here's what's going to happen. It's going to arrive at our facility, and we're going to inventory everything in the box, and then you will receive a quote that is after they've counted everything, and they'll tell me how much it's going to cost to digitize it. And then I pay for that digitization. So the $20 just pays for shipping the box to me and shipping the box back to the facility. Then I pay then they count everything up, and then I pay for the quote based on what I put in the box. And let's find out what we can put in the box. I can include prints, negatives, and slides. I can also include documents, so marriage certificates, recipes, most any kind of paper documents. I can also include movies or films, so I can include 8mm, 16mm, Super 8, VHS, DVDs, mini DVDs, high 8, digital 8, micro minis, like any kind of movies or films. I can also include audio cassette tapes, reel-to-reel audio tapes, or mini or micro cassettes. So those are all the kinds, some of the kinds of things that I could put into this box, and I could mix it up. Like I don't have to put just slides or just photos. I could put in some photos, I could put in some slides, I could put in all sorts of stuff. And that's it. So then they take that, as soon as I pay that quote, they start digitizing this stuff. And then I get that digital, a notice that gallery has been created on my Ancestry account, and then I can start tagging those photos. Then the box of stuff gets shipped back to you. Okay, that's an important thing that I know some people are worried about. Okay, what else is in here? There's a copyright notice. So if you've got old VHS tapes, it needs to be a VHS tape of your kid's third birthday party. It can't be a VHS tape of some movie you recorded off of television in the 1980s. Okay, I've got some bags. So these are some Ziploc bags. I probably shouldn't say Ziploc because that's a brand name, huh? We've got some bags, some smaller bags, and a larger bag that I can put my things in. And then we've got bubble wrap. So some packing material, because you can fill this box. Like as much as you can fill it up with, you can fill this box. But if you don't fill it up, that's fine too. If you just have a few things, you can then make sure that it's all packed securely. Okay, so we're going to fill this box, you guys. I went to my cupboard today and there are some things. I have my little things that we are going to pack up and ship. Oh my goodness. I grabbed these out of that wardrobe in the basement. So in here, I have an old family photo album. And this old family photo album has in it a couple of things that are just precious. So we've got an old hand-drawn pedigree chart from, I don't even know if you can see that, an old hand-drawn pedigree chart from one of my family members who did some genealogy years ago. And we also have in here the pages, the front matter of an old family Bible that has been tucked in here for years. And what else is in here? I think those are the primary things in there. So I will probably pull these out and put these documents in this big Ziploc. So that's one thing. What else have I got in this magic bag of things I grabbed? Okay, I have ooh, this one's good. We're going to use this. This little box of slides. So this little box of slides that came from my grandparents when we moved my grandmother out of her home. And so there are probably what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. There are probably about 40 slides in this little box. And so what I will do is I will just take this little box of slides and I'm going to put it in one of these Ziploc bags. And we're just going to seal that up. And we are going to put that in the box. Okay, what else have I got hiding in here? I have got, ooh, these are good. Okay, these are old Super 8 family videos that we had converted to DVD and CD ages ago. The problem is literally nobody in my family owns a DVD player anymore, and my computers don't have DVD players anymore. So we were really good about getting these converted to DVD probably a decade and a half ago, but now we can't read them. and we can't get them transferred off of DVD to digital so that we can have copies in multiple places. So I'm going to pack these in the box and have these converted from DVD to digital. And again, that will upload them automatically to the gallery in my Ancestry account so that I can then tag people in these little video clips. It looks like there are maybe 54 little video clips on each one of these DVDs. And I can see just from glancing at these are from like the 1950s when my dad was little. I think they're all from my dad's side of the family. Yes, they are. Okay. So getting these transferred from DVD into a digital format that I can copy because I can't read them off of here. Okay, let's see what else we've got in the magic bag. Oh, this one's good. Okay. My very first vacation that I took with one of my best friends when I was in my late 20s out of the country. We went to Greece. She met the man she married on that trip. And then she sent me copies of all of the photos that we took on that trip. Now, back then, right, everything was on a camera and we had these photos digitized. I think that's the Acropolis right there. And I'm just flipping through these, and there are some really great pictures of scenery and things we saw, but there's also some great pictures of us. There's some great pictures of her future husband, because like I said, we met him on that trip. And these have never been digitized. So this stack of photos, I'm actually just going to stick it right back in here into this envelope. She shipped it to me in 30 years ago, 20 years ago. 20 years ago. And I'm going to put that in this Ziploc bag. Okay, and then my favorite thing that is in this. Nope. There we go. Okay, the last thing in this bag. I mean, there's other things, but this is the last thing we're going to talk about today. Are these audio tapes. So these audio tapes, I think this is just some of them too. These were the ones I was able to quickly grab out of the wardrobe when I was looking for stuff. So this is how my mom stored them. So there's 3 here, and there's 1 in a case, and then there are 2 not in a case. And I have no idea if a case even exists. And some of them have things written on them. Like this one says Woodruff O'Brien Nickham. That is my mom's dad's side of the family. And then this one, my Uncle Carl, so my mom's uncle wrote on it, "Hi, Steve, Sue, Krista, Angie, Jeff, Cam, and Adam." And then this one says Asa Monroe Lawrence, tape 1. And Asa Monroe Lawrence is a great granduncle of my mother's. And so I suspect, yes, in November of 1985, my Uncle Carl went and interviewed Asa Monroe Lawrence. Again, my mother's great granduncle. Asa Monroe Lawrence, if I remember correctly, served in the Civil War. Nope, he didn't serve in the Civil War. His father served in the Civil War. So there's probably some stories on there about that. And then these tapes, one is from April of 1988, and it says James Ball and Margaret Bray. So my Uncle Carl used to go to the National Archives and do family history research, and then he would audio record himself walking through the documents and the stories and the information that he found, and he would send those to my mom. And super excited about this. This one is from February of 1988, and my mom wrote on it, "Not genealogy." So apparently my Uncle Carl just sent us information about his life, which now that Uncle Carl is gone, and this is from the 1980s, is genealogy. Okay, so these tapes are the last thing that I'm going to pack right now. I think I can fit some of this other stuff in this box. I do have a few more things of photos and that stuff out of that binder that I want to pull out. I may have to grab a couple extra Ziploc bags. Now, you have some options. You can label these bags if you want. And if you label these bags, like if I labeled this Uncle Carl, or if I labeled this bag, Athens trip in, let's see, what year was that? 19, I don't even know. Yeah, 2000. Oh, it was 2001. There's a postmark on here. Nope, 2002. We went on that trip in April of 2002. Okay. So I could label these, and what would happen is when they digitize this stuff and send it back to me, I could it would come back with those like as like little albums or folders. So that's how that works. Okay, so that, like I said, I'll probably add a couple of things to this box before I ship it off from this stack of things over here. This is then, I'm just going to seal it up. There is a barcode on the box. Okay. So when I purchased the box, they know what box I purchased. And then the like I said, the return mailing is already paid for there. So that is just about ready to go. There you go. There was our boxing video for Ancestry Preserve. I hope that that is helpful for you to kind of see that. That's one of the things, whenever I want to try something new, I'm always a little bit hesitant unless I really understand how it works. And so hopefully that was useful for you. But if you remember back to the stories I shared at the beginning of our time together today, like I'm just really feeling some urgency. Sorry that seeing that stuff and talking about my Uncle Carl and with all the things I've gone through over this last week, like there's a lot of emotion there, but I'm also feeling a lot of urgency to make sure that this stuff not only gets digitized and is protected, but also that I have time after it's been digitized to go through it with my mom and to make sure that I have her memories and her information and knowledge about who the people are in these photos and who it is that Uncle Carl's talking about on that audio tape. And, I just want to make sure that I capture all of that. So that is, you can pack whatever you want in your Ancestry Preserve box. What I would recommend is don't keep putting it off, right? That's the thing is it's one of those things that we always are just like, oh, I'll get to it someday, or oh, I need to organize everything first. Like you just saw the mess of stuff that I just put in that box. Photos from my own young adulthood, audio cassettes from the 1980s, and DVDs that were digitized in the 90s, I think, from old Super 8 movies from the 50s. Like it doesn't have to be organized. Now, when I get the box back after it's all been digitized, I can box that stuff up and put it in a separate place, and then I can get the next set of things that I want to get digitized and get them taken care of. And instead of trying to organize everything first, it's more important that we just get it done. So that is how that works. Now, here's what we're going to do. After I get this stuff back, we're going to do a part 2, and I will do 2 things in that part 2 video. One, I will show you the unboxing. So I will show you how they ship this stuff back to me so that you can kind of see how that goes. And then I will also walk you through where on Ancestry that stuff gets uploaded, because they're going to create a gallery of Ancestry Preserve things that have been digitized, and how I will then take those things and tag them into my tree, which will then essentially save a copy in my Ancestry tree gallery as well. So we'll do a little part 2 video in several weeks, so keep your eye out for that. Thank you so much for those of you who joined me here today on this little bonus Ancestry virtual event. Our regular virtual events are typically held on Wednesdays, every Wednesday. If you go to ancestry.com/education, you can register for free for our upcoming virtual events. But if you scroll down the page, you'll also see the past virtual events that we have done, and you can watch there. If you learned something new today, I would love it if you would put that in the chat if you're here participating live, or in the comments if you're watching this over on the Ancestry YouTube channel. That just helps us understand exactly what's resonating with people, what you're learning, what we still need to teach better and more of. And also, I just really think that you typing out what you learned is going to help you remember it a little bit easier. Until next time, I'm Crista Cowan. Have fun climbing your family tree.